Two Big 12 teams will do battle in Orlando as the Mountaineers get set to play against the UCF Knights. Again, another road trip in Big 12 play for the Mountaineers. And both of these teams, the biggest storyline is that one of these teams is going to leave that game with their first win in Big 12 play. More on that here on this episode of Mountaineer Moment. This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. All right, welcome back to another episode of Mountaineer Moment, episode number 47. If you are new here, my name is Troy, and this is a podcast covering West Virginia football and basketball. Just started at the beginning of this football season, and really just blown away by the response from what we've been doing here on Mountaineer Moment. Again, this is episode number 47. We're going at this thing hard, like we say every episode, and just thrilled by the response. So we're available: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. I would please ask you that if you are watching or listening, whatever platform you're on, and you're not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing so you can help me, help you, and you be in the know when we have new episodes coming your way. If you're familiar with kind of how things work around here on the Mountaineer Moment, you know that each week for football season, each week heading down to kickoff and then post-game, we've got several episodes dedicated to breaking down games post-game and then giving you a preview of the matchup with what you need to know relating to the Mountaineer upcoming football game. So this is episode number 3 in that installment for the UCF week. So the Mountaineers are set to play UCF on Saturday, and this episode is dedicated to give you some more on that, a few storylines to watch for. I mentioned already that the biggest storyline, obviously, in this one is that one of these teams is going to get their first win in Big 12 play, while the other will fall to 0-4. And so this is a big one in that regard. Just to pick up a win. Two teams struggling to start conference play. UCF, we've talked about them in previous episodes in detail. They started 3-0 in the non-conference, blasted the fighting Bill Belichick's of UNC, and since they've entered into conference play, it's been a struggle with losses on the road against Kansas State and most recently Cincinnati, with a loss at home against Kansas, a 7-point loss in that one, sandwiched in between those two road games. Cincinnati, one of the surprise teams of the Big 12, if not the surprise, with an unbeaten record in conference play of 3-0 and 5-1 overall, finding their way into this week's AP poll, I believe, sitting at number 24. UCF fell to them by a score of 20-11 last Saturday. Mountaineers obviously coming off of the bye week and looking to start fresh for the second half of the season. As Rich Rod said, either on Monday or in his Tuesday press conference, this is an opportunity for a fresh start, not giving up on the season, not giving up on these guys. And, of course, you don't want what do you expect the head coach to say in a press conference? But I believe him, right? I think this team has a lot they can still play for. There's a lot that you can do to set yourself up for 2026, whether that's setting yourself up for success or just setting yourself up for this fact that you know what you got potentially next year, specifically at the quarterback situation, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. But Mountaineers sitting at 2-4, and now you play a 3-3 team. We mentioned in the previous 2 episodes dedicated to UCF, where we talked about just a really a little bit of an extensive preview on UCF, where they've been, what they've got, what they bring to the table, and then a fun one just doing some over-unders to look for in the game. But in both of those episodes, one of the things we touched on is the fact that now the Mountaineers, as they sit at 2-4 and 0-3 in conference, and Jaheim White's out, Nico Markell's out, it's like can't catch a break, and there's struggles all up and down the offense and defense. I think I just saw, this week Ashton Wood's now out, and there's injuries, there's issues, there's glaring issues as far as like skill level and performance and how you're playing. But you come off a bye week, you regroup, you hopefully get some guys back, And you have an opportunity, regardless of what the first half looked like, you have an opportunity to finish better than you started. You have an opportunity to pick up some wins. And against UCF, no disrespect to their program. I'm not like sitting here saying we're taking them lightly by any means. But the 3 games you've played in conference play thus far have been against 3 teams, just frankly, flat out, simply put, are better than you are. You play against Kansas, get whacked. You play against Utah at home, get smacked. You play against BYU on the road, still an unbeaten team in the AP poll as well, and you lose by 14 in a game that could have been a little worse than that. Aside from a couple big defensive plays that we talked about too by Chase Wilson and Fred Perry. And here you are, 0-3, and you're playing against another team that's 0-3. It's like, ooh, kind of a sigh of relief. Like, this is an opportunity to just kind of see where you're at on a team that's kind of at your level, maybe, right? We learn a little bit more maybe about this team this week, and so that's one of the storylines to watch for. And I'm going to give you 3 specific things to watch for as you get ready to watch this game on Saturday afternoon. Again, kickoff in Orlando at 1 p.m. Eastern on TNT. But again, a pair of winless teams in conference play. And the first point, I mentioned it, and we can't go an episode without mentioning it at this rate, is this quarterback situation for the Mountaineers. Whether or not you believe that it's in the best interest of this Mountaineer football team and Rich Rodriguez to get younger at the quarterback position, in the sense that it's Khalil Wilkins, who's a redshirt freshman, or Scotty Fox Jr., the true freshman, whether you think it's time for them to be the ones to lead this team at quarterback in the second half of the season, whether you think if that should be the case or not, it looks like it's going to be. Not entirely because of, that's just what we need to do, but because that's kind of the cards we're being dealt right now with Nico out for the year. Jalen Henderson is now missing. It looks like he'll miss his second consecutive game, being doubtful, coming up against UCF. Max Brown is banged up. And here's what Coach Rodriguez had to say regarding the quarterback situation as they come out of the bye week and into, obviously, have started UCF prep. He said, unfortunately, the experienced guys, Nico's out, Jalen's been out. He's still doubtful. Max Brown, he's the other experienced guy, and he's been banged up. So the two young guys, have been taking more reps, which is good for them. Every rep they can take is going to help with their growth. And the 2 young guys that Rich Rodriguez is referring to is the aforementioned Khalil Wilkins and Scotty Fox Jr. And so you might be like me as a watcher or listener of this show here. You might know where I'm about to go with this, but you might be like me and say, you know what? It is time. I don't care if Jalen is healthy. I don't mean it like that. I just mean like if Jalen's healthy or not, it's time for Khalil Wilkins or Scotty Fox. If Max Brown's healthy or not, it doesn't really matter, because it's time for Khalil Wilkins and or Scotty Fox. And that's the camp I'm in right now. You're 2-4. The veterans, not Max Brown, but Nico and his situation, had some good moments, obviously, with the backyard brawl comeback and that. And Jalen Henderson has had a couple spots, but he got one start against Utah and looked bad. To be fair, offense all around him looked very bad. It's not entirely his fault. Every quarterback that we throw in there, you got to take with a grain of salt because of this offensive line and how horrendously they have played. All right? So Rodriguez says, you know what, it is these 2 young guys now, and they're the ones taking reps, and it's good. And I'm fully with him in agreement on that 100%. This is good for the future of this program. I've said it. I'm going to say it through the rest of the season and into the off season. And if you've been here any amount of time on Mountaineer Moment, you've heard me say it. But Scotty Fox, Khalil Wilkins, one or both of them, you go with them this whole second half, you're going to know what you got. You're going to know what you got, a little bit of a taste of what you have potentially for 2026. And if you don't like what you got, then there's a need to go get a guy out of the portal, transfer. I mean, there's going to be some guys available. Obviously, there always is. But if you like what you see with one or both of them, and you think there's a chance one of these guys is going to be your starter in 2026, man, let's go. And it's an opportunity for them to showcase what they got and, again, improve and get better and grow, just as Rich Rod had said. So point number 1, and the thing to look for, storyline to watch for, is which of these quarterbacks is going to play. right? Keep an eye on Khalil Wilkins. Is it going to be him getting the start again? Is it going to be Scotty Fox? Is there going to be a short leash on whoever is the starter? Is it really not a matter of it's a short leash, but Rich Rod is going to come into this game and saying, you know what, both of these guys are going to play. He's going to get 2 series. He's going to get 2 series, independent of how they play throughout that. They have a game plan, maybe of a few series for each guy. Whoever has the hot hand, whoever's playing better, whatever, might finish the game. Again, I don't know what Rich Rod's thinking at this point, but that's something to monitor for us as fans. Watching this game. All right, well, who's going to get the shot today? And most importantly, what are they going to do with the opportunity that they have? Because, for example, if one of these guys comes out and doesn't play particularly well, and the other one comes out off the bench maybe and leads this team to victory and plays pretty well, you have your answer as to who's starting the next week. And it's obviously in the Mountaineer football program right now, the quarterback position is very much so a week-by-week thing. But Khalil Wilkins, Scotty Fox, keep an eye on them because it looks like it's their time. And again, I'm in the camp, I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy that Rich even had said that about, every rep is going to help them with their growth. And here's an opportunity for us to see what we have with these 2 young quarterbacks. So keep an eye, Khalil Wilkins, Scotty Fox, who starts, who plays more, who plays better. Again, what do they do with the time that they have on the field? Second storyline to watch is a little less of one that's rooted in an individual aspect of the game, but one that's rooted in what kind of heart is this team going to show? So the second point is, what West Virginia team are we going to see coming off the bye week? Certainly, we have a reeling team, losing 3 straight. They're heading into, they head into a bye week, losers of 3 in a row, and they obviously know that the second half of the season is in front of them. Opportunity to improve, opportunity to show that you belong here, right, for young guys. Rich Rod mentioned that, another quote from me said, we ended Tuesday's practice with a 20 to 25 play scrimmage with the younger guys, and it was pretty spirited, he said. So the younger guys getting an opportunity, and I think as the season progresses and now entering into the second half, you're going to see more of that. And it's not just at the quarterback position, but this offensive line too, right? At some point, again, with how this offensive line has struggled, it's not a fluke. It's just who we have. As much as it pains you to say it, if your offensive line is this bad through 6 games, it's no accident. It's just the simple fact that they are that bad, point blank, period. And if that's what you got with upperclassmen, let the young guys go, right? Just let the young guys play and see what they can do. So what kind of what kind of West Virginia team are we going to see in this game against UCF? Because, again, I mentioned it, to start Big 12 play, this team has just flat out been outplayed, outmanned, out-physicaled, out-toughed, outworked, outmatched through 3 Big 12 games. Games that were not particularly close. And again, now you have an opportunity against the UCF team, a little more evenly matched, certainly. Still a touchdown underdog, and rightfully so, right? We haven't proven anything, certainly since Big 12 play opened up. But just keep an eye on not just the quarterback position, but all around the toughness, the physicality, the hard edge, right? We're still looking for that, and just the effort brought on by the Mountaineers. And again, I am very much in favor of new guys getting a shot. Again, the quarterbacks, maybe it's Khalil Wilkins for consecutive games getting the start, and I'm all for that. Scotty Fox getting an opportunity, I'm all for that. Along the offensive line, new faces, I'm all for that. I think over these 6 games, and certainly coming out of the bye week again against a team that, if you come out against UCF and you get railed, you get blown out, that's a problem, because they're 0-3 in conference too. On the regarding talent and skill and all that, they're not ahead of you like a BYU who you just lost to by 14. There's bigger problems on your hands if UCF comes out and wrecks you, coming off of a bye week and coming off of this identity of all right, we're building for a second half of a season where we're going to play better. Rich Rodriguez teams notoriously or are known for improving in the second half of the season, so keep an eye on that. Is that going to come to fruition here in Morgantown with Rich Rodriguez here in year 1? All right. Rich Rod, again, he desires for this to be a fresh start. Well, what kind of team are we going to see? And again, no disrespect to UCF in any stretch of the imagination, but here's an opportunity to quote unquote get right, or to quote unquote just do some things that we haven't seen since Big 12 play started. Like, do some things you haven't seen since the Pitt game, where you move the football decently. We need to see that. So that's something to keep an eye on. Like, just overall, what kind of product are the Mountaineers going to put forth coming off the bye week on the road against UCF with a freshman quarterback, a banged-up running back room, and maybe a retooled offensive line. And we haven't even talked about the receivers, but I think the receivers, like, I mean, we have playmakers. We have guys that can do some things with the ball in their hands. The problem is they haven't been able to get the ball. You have to find a way. You have to find a way to get Cam Vaughn involved. You have to find a way to get Roddy Gallagher involved. Like, you have to find a way for these guys to be a part of the offense, even when it's an offense that is struggling, even when it's an offense that's identity is wrapped up in the run game, right? Khalil Wilkins in his one start, just 7 completions, and he ran the ball 23 times for 89 yards. That's not sustainable, one, but two, we have talent on the outside. You just do. There's some talented guys out there, but you got to give them the football. So my hope is that out of the bye week, this offense drew up some ways to get easy completions, to get the ball moving down the field, to pick up a first down, right? It's as simple as that. It's simple as basics. And that's a lot of times what a bye week can do for you. Even if you're a team that's not struggling as much as West Virginia is coming into a bye week, there's an opportunity to reset, an opportunity to, like in spring training in baseball, right? You hit the ball off the tee. Like, this is an opportunity to just get back to basics. You now know, obviously, Nico's not here. Jalen's out. Jalen Henderson and your quarterback, so you got what you got. And you have to, if you're Rich Rodriguez in this offense, have to find a way for Khalil and or Scotty Fox to be successful. And for them to be successful, it's going to incorporate the guys around them, the weapons around them, getting the ball, and making plays in the open field. All right, third point here, and that'll wrap it up for 3 storylines to watch for against UCF. Again, please subscribe wherever you're at, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. But this third point here, or the last one, is about this UCF running back, Miles Montgomery. He's been a little bit of a workhorse this season. Did the research on him a little bit. He's got 434 yards through 6 games for the Knights on 86 carries. He had just 51 carries all of 2024 with UCF, so definitely taken a step up in production, and just simply put, in what's asked of him. His 86 carries rank him 7th in the Big 12 Conference in that department. And then it's like, okay, well, how much of that production comes from just the non-conference schedule and then the conference schedule? Well, he's still been pretty good. Although this team has started 0-3 in Big 12 play, Montgomery has gone for over 100 yards twice against Kansas State. He did that with 119 yards on just 10 carries. He had 110 yards and 2 touchdowns on 22 carries against Kansas at home. And then last week on the road at Cincinnati, he picked up 56 yards on 13 carries. While their quarterback, who, again, we don't know who's going to start this week, but Cam Fancher, the quarterback last week, had 108 yards on the ground. And again, there is a lot of uncertainty. It might not be as much parity and uncertainty as West Virginia's quarterback room, but there's some question marks as to, they got a banged up quarterback room. One was, questionable heading into the game. One was a game time decision. And then again, Cam Fancher's the guy that got the start for them last week against Cincinnati. But keep an eye on Miles Montgomery, because with question marks at quarterback, and you got a little bit again of a workhorse running back who's had success all throughout the season and in Big 12 play, despite you being 0-3, and now the Mountaineers are coming to town who've had their fair share of struggles. Look for Miles Montgomery to be a focal point, obviously, of the UCF game plan, and what is West Virginia going to do to stop it. So if I can, again, just name one player on UCF's offense to keep an eye on, it is that running back, Miles Montgomery, very talented, and Mountaineers got to find a way to stop him. You just got to find a way. If you want to, I don't know that they can afford for him to go off for 100-plus yards based on the way this offense has struggled, based on the way that the Mountaineers, we don't really know what's going on at quarterback this week. Let's take away Miles Montgomery the best we can and see what happens. So those are 3 storylines to watch for West Virginia's matchup with UCF in Orlando coming up on Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern. We'll have one more episode coming your way a day or two after this one releases, just with a full-on extensive preview of West Virginia and UCF. We'll see you next time on Mountaineer Moment.